guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And I am making a house for the Goth family. And now, if you have been playing The Sims for, forever, kind of like with the Smith family when I did their house, like a very well-known family in the Sims franchise, the Goth family has been around for a very long time. And so my personal feelings about them, I don't really know. I feel like I like Bella Goth. She's kind of mysterious. I don't really understand her. And the history of this family is like super in-depth and kind of crazy and weird. And there's just a lot of mystery surrounding the whole thing. So I don't know, maybe that's kind of why I'm so interested in them. But I haven't really spent the time like trying to look up that history per se and learn about it. So I don't know, but I decided that they needed a new house for my save file. So I wanted to make them a new house, and I wanted it to be representative of them. But the house that was there, like the one that you get when you actually load up the base game, so I expected it to be out of place because I knew it was supposed to reflect the Goth name, right? So their house does look very gothic, and it was okay, but it looked really out of place. Like this home here, I mean, it doesn't necessarily match with the other homes that I'm going to be building in this neighborhood, but I think it matches the world. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does, but it is kind of like a Gothic Victorian home. And I feel like a lot of homes in Willow Creek are kind of Victorian looking anyway. Kind of, I don't know, I could just be making that up, but I wanted to make a home that was reflective of who they are as people, for sure. And I thought this was a really nice style because I did still want it to be dark too. I didn't want to make them like a light home or anything like that, but I wanted it to look a little bit more elegant and not so kind of creepy, I guess. Like in the interior of the original home too was like really, really dark, but not in a way that was comfortable. Like if I was in that house, it wouldn't be a comfortable place to be, I don't think. And there were bright red or like really vibrant purple things throughout the whole house. So it wasn't really something that I imagined them to actually live in. I feel like they're very sophisticated, like as a family. So I wanted to make them a new home, and I wanted it to look a little sophisticated. So I did go ahead and build this, and I absolutely loved it. And I loved putting this fencing around the home as well, breaking it up with these bright red flowers because I did still want to bring in the red. It's a color that's pretty much associated with Bella and kind of like this family in general. So I did definitely want to bring it into some aspect of the build. And I end up having like some red accents and stuff inside as well. But I thought that the red flowers were really nice because I think they tie in with the world really nicely because everything is so green in Willow Creek. And it just adds a pop of color because I didn't use like a black or gray brick or anything for the home. So I don't know, I thought it like blended really nicely. So you guys will have to tell me what you think, but I really enjoyed it. And I really like the landscaping too because it's Willow Creek. I feel like it can be very lush, really green, and kind of have some pops of color. But what I did is I just used these white kind of, I don't know if those are daisies. I don't remember what the title of those plants was, but I did use the red rose bushes too, again, to kind of bring out the red accents that I wanted to add throughout this build. And so this family, if you don't have a background with this family, their family tree, because I think we got family trees in The Sims 2, if my memory is serving me correctly, the family tree literally has like, I think it's got 5 or 6 generations, which, I mean, let's be honest, for The Sims, that is pretty outstanding. And The Sims 2 was so in-depth like that, you know what I mean? It was so intricate with like the storylines and everything. The family trees were built out, like it was amazing. So the family tree, I think the one that I saw was a combined like Goth, Bachelor, Caliente family tree because they do all kind of combine, which is so freaking cool. This was what The Sims 2 was so great for, along with everything else, but not trying to rag, but like The Sims 2 is amazing. So yeah, the family tree is super big, and basically the only living members of the family though, at least in The Sims 2, I think was the immediate family. I think it was Bella, her husband Mortimer, their children Cassandra and Alexander. And in The Sims 4, that's also what you get. So you have Bella, Mortimer, Cassandra, and Alexander. And in The Sims 4, Bella is a young adult, Mortimer is an adult, Cassandra's a teenager, and Alex is, I call him Alex, I don't know, Alexander, whatever. He is a child sim. And yeah, so I think Bella is in the spy, like the secret agent career. That's what it is, the secret agent career. Mortimer's a writer, and Cassandra wants to basically be a famous musician, The Sims 4, and Alex wants to be a little whiz kid. So yeah, I kind of made their rooms very personalized to who they are, because they actually were kind of one of the more in-depth families that we got in The Sims 4, because The Sims 4 isn't really notorious for being extremely in-depth with the storylines or kind of the character development, I guess you could say. But since they're such a well-known family in the franchise, I guess it really doesn't matter. And anyway, talked through the entire exterior. We're already doing the floor planning inside, and it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. I tried to get another bathroom, but I just couldn't do it. I have like a half bath. It's in the basement, which you can see right here. I was so excited to make a basement because I normally don't make them, and I usually honestly kind of suck at making them. So I was excited to make one here and actually enjoy how it came out. But yeah, so there's, I guess, 2.5 baths is what we'll call it. But I think I restricted the basement to just Mortimer and Bella. I don't think I allowed the kids to go down there. And I think Cassandra's room is just restricted to her as well, because I didn't want Mortimer going in there to grab books from the bookcase. I think that's what I ended up doing, but I really, really liked the interior, and it didn't come along easily. I will go ahead and say that. Like, it was not easy for this to come together, because I kind of knew what look I wanted to go for, but a lot of the items that we have in The Sims that could be used to achieve that look are like way over the top for me. So I kind of tried to find a middle ground and mute things a little bit. So the first thing I kind of work on is the kitchen, and I use these countertops and cabinets from the Vampire Stuff pack, which I really, really love in just the plain black and white. I feel like they look so elegant, and I absolutely love them. I don't get to use them too often because more often than not, I'm using a wallpaper that has like either a white trim or it's just a very light color. So I feel like the white doesn't pop as much as it will against a darker color, and yet in this kitchen and in the entire home, I use kind of a lighter wallpaper. But it has like the darker wood trim, so I feel like it pops a little bit more. So you guys have to tell me what you think about that. But I really liked this kitchen, and it's kind of awkward because the main dining section isn't in the kitchen and there isn't a dining room. It's kind of in this weird awkward hallway at the end of the stairs, but I think it works. And initially I was gonna try these red curtains because I was like, all right, we're gonna do the pop of color. It's gonna be nice. Like, if we're gonna stick with this kind of color scheme for the Goth family, why not? And then I thought, no, for me, it's just too, I don't like using the word because I don't know if it's really applicable. I don't know if it's really correct, but it just looked a little gaudy to me. Like, it was too over the top. And that's what I was trying to avoid from the original home. So I didn't want to do that here, and I just kind of had like some red accents throughout it. So I use that red flower a lot, that flower decoration, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, I love that flower decoration. It's so pretty. It's charming, yet modern, yet cozy, I guess. Don't know if that's how you like describe flowers, but that's how I describe those flowers, and I absolutely love them. So I use them a lot throughout this build in different colors, but also in the red again, because again, I wanted to add that pop of color throughout the home. And then I kind of just move on to various parts of the home because I was still trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to place everything. You'll see me kind of hop in and out of different rooms, grab certain objects, delete them, shuffle things around, like more than I usually do because it didn't come together easily. So once I figured out where I wanted to put the dining table, in realizing I couldn't put it in the kitchen, I did move back to the kitchen and kind of cluttered up the countertops a little bit and tried to figure out what I wanted to use to represent these characters. So one thing that I actually end up doing is on that little island there is I put a bunch of kind of like homework kid clutter, and I thought that that was Alexander's stuff. So I think he's a very studious child sim, maybe even a little, maybe he's like not as social as I don't know, other kids, but I thought it was kind of a nice idea that he comes right in here. Like, he can't even wait to get upstairs to his room because I don't think I gave him a desk. So he goes ahead and he uses this island counter to kind of like do his homework, and he pops right in from school and sits down and does his work and enjoys like a snack or something. That was kind of my idea. So his clutter is a little bit in the kitchen, which adds a little bit more personality to the build itself. At least that's what I think. And then I move on to the entryway, which is usually kind of where I start. I usually start in the entryway or like the living room. Those rooms or areas come together really quickly for me, but I ended up doing the kitchen first here. So you never know. You never know when you're going to build. You never know what's going to come to you first and kind of what's going to set the tone for the rest of your build. So yeah, I kind of popped over there because I was trying to fit the piano because I thought that was a really nice touch. It was a very grand piece, and this family is very sophisticated in my mind, but I couldn't fit it here in the entryway. It looked a little clogged and a little, I don't know, just a little too congested. So I put it over in the living room, and it kind of works. I think you could probably move it if you wanted to, but that was kind of the best spot that I could find for it. So you have to let me know what you think. And then I just add some chairs here in the bright red, right in the entryway, just to kind of tie that in. I wanted to keep it consistent throughout this build, so I decided to kind of use those pops of color there. And then I added a chess table here in this little nook, and that's where I envision Alexander playing chess all the time, trying to just become that little whiz kid. Get that, what is it, the thinking skill? No, that's the toddler one. Is it, oh my gosh, what is it? The mental skill. Woo! Woo! It's the mental skill for children. There we go. Trying to get that mental skill up. And then I move on to the living room, and I actually did hesitate momentarily because I didn't think I was going to give them a TV, but I don't know. They don't seem like the family that just wouldn't have a TV. I mean, Bella's a secret agent and Mortimer's a writer, and I feel like they are kind of like integrated with technology. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? So I figured that they wouldn't be ones to avoid having a television in the living room. So I did give them the TV, and I put these bookcases onto the side there, and I kind of struggled because I really wanted a couch up against those bookcases. I didn't really care if they were going to be accessible or not. Of course, if you want them to be accessible, I do end up putting a couch there, and you'll just have to take it away. But I wanted there to be plenty of seating for everyone in the family, so I needed to make sure I had the two couches, and then I did put a chair over in the corner as well with a lamp behind it. So if you do want those bookshelves accessible, you'll just have to move the couch, and you might just be able to put another chair somewhere or something. So it's not the end of the world whatsoever, but I put a little side table here, again, with the red plant that I love, and this really awkward, weird lamp from, I think, like the vintage glamour stuff. What animal is that? It's an animal. Like you can see it's an animal, right? It's got 4 legs. I haven't read the description or read the name, so I guess I could have figured this out myself. But what animal is that? Because I don't know what it is, and it's really weird and kind of charming, and I like it. So I used it because I never, ever do. And I also gave them the glow bar because I feel like that is definitely up to par with their kind of like social status. I feel like Mortimer comes over and he just pours a platter of drinks, and then he goes and secludes himself down in the basement where I kind of set up his little writing station and everything. Like, I feel like he's very, I don't know, very dramatic, but like subtly dramatic. Does that make sense? And then I put a computer here on top of a desk in this other little nook, and that's kind of like the family computer because both Bella and Mortimer have their own computers. And I also gave Alexander a little creativity table just to kind of round out his skills a little bit. I mean, it might be a little boring if you just make him play chess 24/7, so I figured he needed something else to do, maybe while everyone else is watching TV. Maybe Cassandra locked herself in her room to practice music. Maybe Bella's watching TV and Alex wants to hang out with her. I don't know. And then I move on to the bathroom. The bathrooms are pretty much identical, like almost exactly. I didn't copy over the rooms, but yeah, they're pretty much identical. And I used that vampire flooring, which I loved and I never get to use because it's so loud and makes such a statement. So yeah, I was really excited to use it here. And I figured they needed a suit of armor because that is something that they had in their original home, but they were just oddly placed and everything, like I said, was super dark. So I figured this light one was kind of a nice touch and kind of like paying homage to their original home in The Sims 4. And then I just add a little side table here with some other clutter items, and you can see me now like I'm going into different rooms, adding little pieces that I'm finding as I'm scrolling through the menus, because I don't know if it's just me, but I 110% always forget where items are. especially when it comes to decorations. Like, I know where the flower decorations are, but when it comes to random, what I consider like clutter items, or specifically like wall decorations / paintings, I can never remember which ones are considered paintings or wall decorations. So I'm scrolling through both of these freaking menus all the time. And then when it comes to clutter, there's like clutter, and then there's the miscellaneous clutter. And half of the clutter items I use are in miscellaneous clutter. And I never remember because my mind just goes to the clutter menu. So I hope I'm not alone in that because that happens to me 24/7, and I get so annoyed with myself because I'm sitting there and I'm like, hi, you've been playing this game for so long. You build often enough to kind of know where things are. What is wrong with you? And I think it's because there's just so many items. And honestly, I'm looking for like certain colors half the time. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm looking for certain colors and then I just kind of can't find them, rather than like the functionality of the item. I don't know how my brain works. Whatever. This is Alex's room, by the way. And I give him a little void critter play thing there. He has a bookshelf, the chemistry station, because he is that whiz kid trying to bump up that mental skill. And he also just has like a dresser and some toys and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, even though he wants to be a whiz kid, he is still a kid and he needs some toys, some things to kind of unwind with. But I also feel like I said, he's a whiz kid, so I think he's really into science. So I gave him that little science award. Maybe he won that for like a science fair or something like that, is what my thought process was. And I did add like a ton of posters too. So even though he is a pretty studious kid, I feel like he loves void critters. Like, that is his jam. So he actually collects like all of those void critter, I think they're like the cards or something that you place in there. And I feel like he's really into that. Maybe he actually like runs a void critter club. I think that exists, right? With Get Together, did that already exist, or is that something that I created at one point? Yeah, I don't remember, but he could like create a void critter club if there isn't one that's in existence. He could be the leader of that, and he doesn't have a big enough space to have a bunch of kids in there to play, but it could be kind of a fun idea. And then I move on to Bella and Mortimer's bedroom, and I did want to bring the red in here specifically, but a lot of the other reds, aside from this bed, a lot of the other red swatches were like super red, like real vibrant, really loud, and didn't really match the kind of like muted soft wood tones I think that I put throughout the home. So this bed was absolutely perfect to match that, and it's honestly one of my favorite beds in the entire game. Like, let's be honest, it's my favorite. If I were to choose a bed over and over and over again, it would probably be that one or the one from Seasons without the headboard. I love those beds. I love those items so much. And I give Bella a vanity as well, and I give them this kind of really Victorian style dresser, which I love. I think it's from the Vampire Stuff Pack as well. And their room really isn't that cluttered. They have a plant, they have a stand-up mirror, and then they have a rug here in the center and just some artwork on the walls. I didn't think that it was a very cluttered place for them. I didn't think that it would be very cluttered. So I was kind of like, at that point, I was kind of honestly running out of things to put on the walls too, and that's when I had the idea of placing a bunch of picture frames throughout the home, because I feel like this family has pictures of like deceased family members and stuff like that. Like, they have a long legacy, so I figured there was a lot of photographic evidence. I don't know, but I thought it fit them nicely. And I also hung up those pictures there, those 3 frames from the Vampire Stuff Pack, because they were very vintage looking, and I really liked that too. So maybe those were deceased family members as well, I don't know. But here is kind of like the landing area, and I wanted to make sure that I used this clock, and then I just add these red sofas as well, so it's kind of like a little seating area. Originally I was gonna make it Mortimer's kind of office area, but I feel like as a writer and just with kind of his personality, I felt as though he wanted a separate space from the main home, which is why him and Bella have their office downstairs and the kids aren't allowed. But then I move on to Cassandra's room, and she does seem to really like the color purple, so I did keep the purple throughout her room. And I absolutely adore this bed from Seasons, and I'd never used it in that swatch before, so I was really excited to do so because I think it really fit Bella's personality and also what seems to be her favorite color, and I just really liked it. I wanted to make it somewhat girly, nothing too crazy, but like somewhat girly, and it was kind of an awkward shape. But since she's a very artistic sim, I did give her this painting easel as well as the violin, so she can play music, and there's obviously the piano downstairs as well, so she could play music there, and maybe she paints too. Like, I feel like she's really a patron of the arts at this point, and that's kind of my hope for her. So if I do ever play the Goth family, I kind of want to focus on Cassandra, because I think it was in The Sims 3? Sims 2? Sims 2, Sims 3. Sims 2. Sims 2. It wasn't The Sims 3. In The Sims 3, Bella was a child. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so The Sims 3, Bella was a child, but in The Sims 2, Cassandra was, I think, a young adult, and she was engaged to Don Lothario, and that's when their storylines got, like, real weird and, like, real crazy and mysterious and odd and all of the other synonymous terms that you could toss in there. So I kind of developed a soft spot for Cassandra because Don Lothario, if you do not know, is a womanizer. Like, he's not a very nice man, and he has a lot of different romantic interests, and he was engaged to Cassandra while being romantically involved with like 3 other people in The Sims 2, and I think if you actually made them try to get married at the altar, like, he would leave her. I think I've heard that. I haven't tested it myself. I can't play The Sims 2 anymore, which is really sad, but I think that's what happens. So yeah, I wanted to kind of focus on her if I ever played the Goth family. And now moving on to the basement, which I really like. It's small, but I think it really works. So I add some bookshelves here and kind of put this desk here, which is one of my favorites because of all of the book and paper clutter. And then I add, like, I think that computer is unlocked with the writer career, and just kind of put some stuff on the wall. And then I had pulled out some of these items earlier for Bella's portion of this kind of basement office, and I end up doing that like secret agent map, which I absolutely love, and I think just a few other items that kind of looked like high tech, like some monitoring items. And I thought it came out really nicely. I think I give them a TV down here as well and a little table, so maybe Bella gets together with her other secret agents and they have like a meeting. I don't know how this works. And then there's the half bathroom, which is basically like every other bathroom in this home to begin with. So yeah, this was a super rambly voiceover, so hope you guys liked it, but I really liked this build, and I can't wait to do even more for some of the more iconic families in The Sims as well. So let me know what you guys think and what else you'd want to see, maybe what other families you'd want to see me build homes for, like the Pleasants, and I will talk to you guys next time I post a video. Bye!
I never felt tomorrow closing in this fast. Oh, I guess time's in a rush. Leaves are falling down, but at least they grow back, while I'm on a one-way track. Now I know what it means to grow old. Yeah, now I know the time I've got, it is just enough to get by. Yeah, it is just enough to get by. Sometimes I understand I'm making all the wrong demands in life. It never pays in the